Hey guys, Paulsburg Productions, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a part 2 of how to make your own Lego stop motions. I showed you some stuff in my last video, but link to that in the description if you want to see it. But I'm going to be doing a more in-depth thing on how to do certain techniques and walking cycles for smaller minifigures with those legs that don't pose very well. So yeah, let's go into my app, Stop Motion Studio Pro. It's $5 in the App Store if you want to get it. And keep in mind, I don't have a sponsor for this, but you go into Stop Motion Studio Pro, new movie, and you press the camera, and it takes you into your camera. So I'm going to use Yoda here because he has his smaller legs, and this is something I forgot in my last how-to video, but I'm going to take Yoda here, and I'm going to take a few frames of him like this, and then I'm going to balance him on one foot like this. One foot is still connected into the peg, while the other one is off the peg. You take a frame, and then you swivel it over like that, and then keep in mind, now you're going to put it on the next frame like this. Keep in mind you don't want to put it back like that, and you definitely don't want to put it sideways unless you're doing a certain kind of thing. So you want to put him diagonally to whatever direction the foot is pointing to. You take another frame, and then you swivel the other foot around to the other side, and then you place it on the peg again like that, and then you swivel it over again, and the walking cycle continues until you choose to stop it. So yeah, I'm going to be taking a few more steps with him, and then I'm going to be showing you what it looks like with everything looking like a walking cycle. So sorry, I'm a little confused right now, but today's been really tiring for me. But now, after you just finished your walking cycle, you can swivel that foot back around, and then you can place it back on the peg again, or you can do whatever you want. You can do a flip with it, like you can make him do a back flip, a front flip, anything really. But now let's look into the walking cycle. I'd say that looks pretty good for a smaller minifigure. You want to be filming at 12 frames per second if you're doing this type of walking cycle, because if you do the walking cycle too fast, it'll kind of look choppier. It'll look like that, which if you're doing a comedy, I guess it would be okay, but if you're just making him walk, we will definitely want to do it at 12 frames per second. And so, yeah, that's his walking cycle. Now I'm going to delete all this. Be mindful of what you delete, because it's kind of hard to get back the frames that you've deleted unless you copy and paste. But you definitely want to be mindful of what you delete. So now I'm going to take off Yoda. You can do flips and stuff with Yoda, but it's a little harder. So I'm just going to use this Jedi here for now. And the Jedi, you're going to want to take it at a higher angle for the shot here. And what you do is she has her arms at her sides as usual, and you take a few frames, and then you bend the Jedi over a little bit. You put her arms back, you take a picture, you bend her over a little more, take a couple more pictures like that, and then she bends back up, her arms go forward, and you can do easing in and easing out with this. It makes it look a lot better. That's what I'm going to try and do. So ease in, easing in, out. It doesn't really work very well for flips unless you're just doing the easing in technique, because if you ease out, it kind of makes it look a little strange halfway through. So you take another frame for bending back, and then I use this rod from the Republic Y-Wing. It's not Republic, it's actually Rebellion from 2017. It has these hooks on the ends that you can hook weapons to if you want to throw weapons, but you can place a minifigure on this little thing right here if you're going to be doing a flip or jump or anything. I'm going to be showing you a backflip for now, and a backflip is pretty simple. You just bend her back a little more and take a photo of her like this. Now keep in mind it will swivel like that if you don't keep it still. So you want to keep it still. You take a photo, and then you take a clean frame. I'll explain why whenever we edit out the rod. But now we're going to be taking another frame, and then we're going to take another clean frame, and then we're going to be taking another frame, a clean frame, and then we're going to be keeping on doing this until we make her reach the ground again. Now, be careful with the minifigure swiveling, because it can happen. And you don't want it to, because it will mess up your frames. So take another clean frame, and then you have the Jedi on the ground. Again, the Jedi is about ready to touch back down with the ground, so you take a clean frame after this, because I'll explain why here in a minute whenever we edit out the rod. But now the Jedi is back on the ground. She did a huge backflip, and her arms come back down. Don't forget to take out the rod. Her arms come back down, and then she bends over a little bit. Don't move the camera like I just did. It's really bad. But now she's standing back up, and she bent over after impact, but she stood back up. You take a few more frames, and then you're done. But now let's go into editing. You can see it's really choppy right now because of all the masking frames. I will show you what it looks like here in the end, but you tap on the frame, and then you hit erase, and you want to have a masking frame. So this is where the clean frame comes into play, because if you don't have a clean frame, then it will use the last frame that you took as a masking frame, and you'll start to duplicate all of your minifigures' movements, which will not be good. So you want a clean masking frame. And now, and make sure you have a good size for your eraser thing. It's kind of like you're drawing on your phone whenever you're erasing this, except you're taking out all the unnecessary things like shadows underneath the rod, because it'll kind of make it look like the rod is still there. So now you just draw it out with your finger, and then for this part I reduce the size of my point, and I start masking it out again, except with a smaller point. It's really hard to do it for a Jedi with a cape, because the cape will get erased with it. So you don't generally want to use capes if you're jumping, unless you are kind of good at it, because then it'll be easier for you. But now you select your other masking frame, and keep in mind you don't want to leave the shadows underneath here. You definitely want to erase all of them, and you just keep on erasing, and it should start to look better after you're done. And now let's mask this out. This is a really hard frame to mask out, so I have to zoom in and carefully do it carefully. And now you can just mask out the rod. The rod's pretty easy to do because it's just drawing over it, but you generally want to be careful whenever you're masking out, or else it won't turn out right. And if you do happen to mess up, and let's say you cut the cape like that, you can press the plus button, and then you can go over to this. Well, actually don't go over to that, I'm sorry. But you can just draw on this part right here after you press plus, and it should bring everything back. If it doesn't, then you might not have it on the right setting, but that's what happens if you press plus. Now let's move over to the next frame and keep on masking out. Don't forget your shadow, and this should turn out in the end. Now, whenever you're done, I'll show you one last thing you want to do with it, just to finish it off. And so as soon as you are done masking everything out, I will show you what to do at the end. So just hold tight for a minute while I mask everything out. And I can't really do a time lapse because I'm on screen record. So if you know how to do time lapse on screen record, just tell me, because it'd be really helpful. But we're almost finished here with this, so we only got a couple more things left to do. So if you want to make this go faster, you can just do that, and should be able to mask everything out a lot faster. Now be careful with this because you have a much bigger thing you're using. See, it takes everything out at a really fat angle, so you want to be careful whenever you mask it out. Now let's move over to the next one. The same thing. We only have one more thing to do after this, so we're almost done, don't worry. This part's kind of time consuming, but it should be done in just one slight second. There we go. There's the leg. And finish everything off. And there you go. You're almost done. You have one more frame left. And then you can shout out hallelujah as you finish this. And you'll definitely feel a lot better after you're done, because the editing won't be very long anymore, besides just adding in voiceovers. Don't forget, whenever you're done, to delete your masking frames. Be careful not to delete the ones you already edited, because you put hard work into it, and you'll definitely not feel very good after you delete your wrong frame. So be careful whenever you're deleting these. And now I'll show you what everything looks like. That's what the backflip looks like, and it looks really good. And I'll have a great example of backflips and stuff in my next stop motion. It's almost finished, but yeah, That's what it looks like. So this is Paul's Grow Productions.